Hello everyone. This is going to be a mix kind of the end of the year wrap up and my December reading wrap up because why not? Seems like the best thing to do. Plus, I don't know why I would want to make you sit through two videos when we can just do it all in one real quick. So first off, we're going to start with the books I read in December because it's the easiest to do. I read 8 books for the month of December, which is actually pretty good considering I had my daughter's birthday, my birthday, Christmas, and a crochet project I was in the middle of. So there is that. Also have a new desk and chair that we're working at. So that is that. Lighting is not so great and I wish I could fix it, but I don't know where the lighting stuff is. We rearranged and everything's a mess. But let's get back to the books. So there was the TBR that I did, and I did horrible with that. Let's just be honest. I picked, I think it was 6 books that I was gonna read by popular authors or like popular book series that I had never read before. And I did 2. But if it counts, I also read 2 books by one author, so there is some progress. But we'll still get to some of those books. They just might be later books. That's just how it goes. So first and foremost, I have 2 ebooks that I finished reading because they were part of a series, and the next one doesn't come out till January anyway, so I basically read the whole series, even though one of them is like a little novella, which that was the last one, so a full book coming up soon. But the first one was Hexes and Honey Buns, which was a 4-star read. I will be honest, I don't remember much about this one at all. I don't. I think it had to do with the girl whose name is now like escaping me. I think it was Rosella, so I think she went by Ella. She worked at she was working with her family bakery because again she went back to home after all this stuff, and then she was a journalist in her previous life when she was trying to be normal instead of a witch, but she went back to her small hometown that's full of magic. And this one, if I remember correctly, which it's starting to come back, she works as a journalist in one of her small town paper business that they have, newspaper journalist site, but she also works still at her family's bakery. It's kind of a part-time thing to fulfill what she likes to do but still make some money. And if I remember correctly, there's a lady who gets after her, like sends her a letter saying, hey, can you help me? I didn't commit this crime of killing my husband, even though it's believed that I did. She goes through this whole thing of finding out who did and stuff. It's hard to believe because everyone's saying like, no, it seems like it's the wife. Kind of obvious. No one else was there. Stuff like that. Like I said, it was a pretty decent book. I think the one thing that bugged me the most with that book though is just her constant like belief for this Orion guy that she's been like pining over for this whole series and stuff, because he's on a mission but he can't talk to her because he's not allowed to talk to her and stuff because it's like secret stuff and all that, and it was just kind of a little too much with all the stuff that she was trying to deal with also on the side. But I get it, but it was just a little eh. So that was the first book. Next one was Leprechaun and Lemon Bars. This was again part of the series. This was the right now final book. Like I said, the next one comes out in January. Don't even remember what that one's called. I'll have to look it up. But this one was Leprechauns and Lemon Bars. It's the short novella. Like I said, with this author, she does kind of a little longer one, and then short novella, a little longer, short novella, longer, short. So this was the short one, so the next one should be a little longer. We'll see. But this one, her and Orion, they're a couple. They went on vacation to this cabin woods thing, and then they get interrupted by a leprechaun who thinks they stole his hat. So they had to help him find his hat while having their little vacation get-together thing ruined, kind of. And it was pretty interesting. I gave that one a 3.5. Again, some of the short ones, I just kind of like, I wish there was more, or I wish it was just like not at all sometimes. Because it just kind of feels like it's just trying to fill the gaps and not have anything meaningful, I guess. So there is that. Like I said, next one not till January, but we'll see. Next was The Dead Guy Next Door. This was part of my TBR. This one was my first Lucy Score book ever. Like I said, I've heard a lot of people talk about Lucy Score books, and I picked this one because it looked interesting, and I gotta say that I don't see the problem with Lucy Score. There's one booktuber who I've watched, she hates Lucy Score. I read this and I have no clue why. Love this book. It was a 4-star. It just wasn't quite up to par for 5, but it was definitely interesting. There's this girl, she just recently got divorced. She pays money to her ex-husband because she broke his nose, apparently. And so she owes him money in the lawsuit. So she lives in a retirement home with a bunch of older people, and she pretends that like they're her aunts, uncles, all this stuff. But she's also psychic, but she doesn't want her gifts. She kind of pushes them down, hides them. The guy next door from her has a private investigator trying to give him papers. His name is Nick Santiago. He's in the book too. He basically goes and he's trying to investigate this guy, trying to find out where he is to give him papers. He runs into Riley, that's her name. She's like, yeah, no, blah, blah, blah. Basically, she ends up seeing that her neighbor dies. She tries to warn him, ends up becoming the main suspect when he does finally die. And the Nick guy is like, oh, you're a psychic? Let's work together. So they work together to find out who killed this guy and all that. And it turns into a whole big mess. But it's really funny, interesting. Like I said, I love this book. And I actually ended up reading the second book, which is also in here, but it was not the next one right away. So there's that. But this was part of my TBR one, and I like her books. And I do have the other ones in the series, because this is a series, by the way. It's called the Riley Thorne series. So this one is pretty interesting. So next one I don't have with me, my daughter. I borrowed it real quick from her library stash, which is Fire and Fate. This one I didn't realize was like a whole series. And of course, the one I got was number 10. They're quick and easy books. They're about like the Disney villains and stuff, and like a perspective from them about why they are the way they are, and like a whole nother like kind of fairy tale story in between. So Fire and Fate is about Hades, and like it's really interesting. And I gave this one a 4 stars because, again, I may not have read the other ones, but I kind of understand a little bit of the gist of what's going on. Like Hades' story, you can follow along no problem. It's when it has like part of this other like group of characters that he's interacting with and that hear his story that you kind of are like, what happened? So you still could kind of read these by themselves, but I think it would be better to go with the thing. So there is that. And like I said, this was quick, easy read in between mine. Like I said, my daughter got it from the library. I was like, let me check it out. She got the other one, which I don't know what it is, but it was the Maleficent one. She loves Maleficent. That was book 4, I think, and stuff. And like I said, the one I read kind of has a little mentioning of what happened in that book. So when I was reading it, I was telling her, I was like, oh, did you get to this part? And she's like, oh yeah, I've already gotten there. So that was interesting. Next one was the second Lucy Score book, The Corpse in the Closet. So this one, like I said, I ended up having it where I never read her books to reading the second one in the series because, again, this was so interesting and I really liked it. This one has to still deal with Riley, but now her and Nick are a couple. They live together. She works with him. He's a private investigator. She used to be doing publishing for this firm, or editing, I think, publishing, editing. But she really hated it. It was like a draining job. But basically with this one, she's getting asked by the police to help with an investigation as a psychic consultant. The last book, she kind of got injured, and so the Nick guy is worried and doesn't want her to do it. They fight and argue, And basically she ends up becoming the target of the person who is killing that she's investigating. And yeah, so basically, again, it was super funny, interesting. This one was pretty good. Gave this one also 4 stars. Like I said, I like this one. I'm going to continue with the next one, which I think is going to focus on Nick's partner, who he used to work on the police force, his ex-partner's sister who went missing. Because it says Blast from the Past. That's the 3rd one. So I'm going to probably read that one upcoming year. But yes, like I said, 2nd Lucy Score book. Obviously, I don't see the problem with her. I like her. I like her books. And that's what's going to happen. Next was a book that I had started, I think it was in November, which is Damaged But Not Destroyed by Michael Todd. This one I grabbed. I thought it was really interesting. This is a nonfiction book. It's like one of those self-help books and stuff. And again, I don't rate these ones. Fable kind of made me rate it, which I just gave it, I think, a 3.5 on there because, again, it was good. And then, like, after a while, I kind of stopped reading it because I get, with nonfiction, I do them where I try to read them when I'm picking up my kids or something in the morning and then read my fun books at night. So I have something better. But then break came, so this kind of got pushed away. And then I was like, well, let me finish it. Return it to the library. Forgot to put it in the library thing to get returned, so it's still here. Gotta still return it. But it was pretty good. It's just little snippets of stuff. Not really anything substantial in my mind, but it does have snippets that I think could help and stuff. So there is that for his book. Next was my book of the month book, The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. This one I gave 4 stars. I had to look at my notes. But this one was super interesting. This one is about Maggie having it where she recently got divorced and she doesn't like partying, she doesn't like going to events, all this stuff, and she hates this other author in her company because she's an author. She hates this other one. His name is Ethan, right? I feel like I forgot his name. Ethan White. And double check. She absolutely hates him. She thinks he mocks her because he always calls her Marcy. He's like this leather-wearing bad boy that like has this mystery persona and all that. But they both basically get sent this invite to go to this mysterious house all the way in England. She doesn't know that he got invited and stuff. They go, and it's like this other author who's like super popular. She's like a mystery thriller kind of author. And basically like they get invited there during Christmas, and basically she disappears, and then basically they're trying to find out where she went, what happened, all this stuff. And it's super interesting. I really liked it. It was good, quick read, fun, thrilling, super fun. Liked it. Then my last book, this was my other TBR book. I was getting picked all these romance books during Christmas, and in a way I was like feeling it but not feeling it. So this one is Abby Jimenez's Just for the Summer, and this one was super popular. I know so many people love it, absolutely adore it, and I get it. I do. I gave this a 4.5. Really loved it. It was quick, it was easy, it was funny, it was sweet. It had like a lot of moments where you're like, oh my gosh, like that's so realistic and all this stuff. But like the second act breakup kind of annoyed me a little bit. Like I get the whole purpose of it and stuff, but it like bugged me. And then the fact that 6 months later, like, go back and be like, hey, I fixed myself, I'm better, here you go. It kind of bugged me, just a little. But the part where she's like confessing her feelings to him, super sweet, loved it, made me tear up a little bit, hence why it went up. But I won't lie that this one, I don't know if maybe like I needed to read it more in the summertime versus like winter, Christmas time. But yeah, this one I kind of struggled with just a little bit, which is why it's not 100% 5 stars, because I didn't really feel like reading it, even though it was funny and sweet and like cute and all this stuff, I just struggled a little bit. So there is that. So those are the 8 books that I read. Real quick, we're gonna do a facts thing. So this is my 2024 wrap up now. We finished our real quick December wrap up. This is my real quick 2024 wrap up. So in total, I read 83 books this year. My original goal was 50 books on Goodreads. And then when I joined Fable, I changed it to 80. So I hit both goals. Yay. My average rating for most of the books that I have, mind you that, again, I think I had a few that I didn't rate because, again, nonfiction ones I don't like rating. But Fable, again, made me rate the last one, so I don't know how that works. But my average rating for most of my books are 3.8. So pretty decent, pretty high up there. My lowest rating book, I think I had 2 that were 2 stars. And I can't remember 100%. One was No Pucking Way by C.R. Jane, I believe it was. And then there's another one. They were both hockey romances, but they were like weird ones that I just did not like. And I think it was like Pucking Wrong Number. I think those were the 2 that I just didn't like. Next, by the way, these are all stats that I got, by the way, from Fable. So, and I'm not sponsored by Fable. Would be awesome, but not. Next was my most read genres, which, surprise, surprise, it's romance. With 58 books being romance. Mind you, too, these might have it where there's subplots, too, so they might kind of stack up. Next one is fantasy with 39. And last but not least, well, not last, but top 3 genres. Next one was mystery, which I started more mysteries. So there is that. I would say, again, I had 2 books that were my least favorite, lowest ratings, Pucking Wrong Number, and something else. Again, hockey romances. Love them, but also sometimes they are so annoying. My favorite books, I will say this. My favorite books are going to be Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood, the first one. Love that one. That one was the best. If they stopped the series right there, I would have no problem. Honestly, wouldn't. Next one would be The Wishing Game. Love that book. Again, that one was so sweet. Loved it. It was touching. It was like so great. So fun. Loved the riddles. Loved the storyline. It was great. Next would be Divine Rivals. That one was a good one. Again, I do need to read the second one to finish it. But I love that one because, it was very realistic, but also like mythical fantasy kind of thing with the gods and wars. But it was such a good read to where, again, it was great. And I felt so much for Iris. And again, these are ones too that I still think about certain things and remember certain things. So there is that. 4 will be Heavenbreaker, which I kept calling wrong name because I don't know why my brain didn't work that way, but I love that book. I don't remember the main character's name 100%, but that book still makes me think about like sci-fi fantasy and like her controlling the bots, which again, I'm missing some of the stuff. I gotta get that book for sure, but I love that book. It was great. And I'm gonna say number 5 for best books is going to go to see, this is where I get messed up because then too I'm like, I didn't write this down because I was like, I got this, no problem. And then I'm struggling because what's the 5th book that I loved? I'm gonna go with what's it called? It's part of the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. It's the 2nd book. I'll have it posted here. I think it's the Ballad of Never After. Love that book. That one was a good one. The ending was so like, wow, what, and all that, and the storyline, and getting to know Jax more with Evangeline, I think that would be the one. So those are my top 5 books that I would say in no particular order, but I think those would be my top 5 books. And I know there are some more books that I am going to read in 2025. I don't know any of my goals 100%. Like, I don't have the number for my reading goal. I have like generic ones. So those are what I have. Again, favorite genres are fantasy and romance still. Hopefully we'll throw in some new ones here soon, but I think those are what I'm going to stick with probably in the year upcoming, and we will see how that goes. Tell me what books you read in December, what were your favorite books in the year of 2024, and if you already have your 2025 goals for reading and or just in general, let me know. And we will see you guys in the next year. Happy New Year's. Hope you have a wonderful and safe holiday, and I will see you guys later. Bye.